Imagine a valley where the air itself seems to tremble with memories of ancient terror. A place where the wind still whispers about a confrontation so intense that the ground absorbed the fear of every heartbeat. A place where two armies stood frozen, not because of cold, but because something much stronger had wrapped its hands around their souls' pure fear. Fear so overwhelming that even the bravest warriors could not lift their feet. For 40 long days and 40 long nights, Israel's strongest men could not move forward. They were not blocked by a massive army. They were not trapped by a strategic disadvantage. They were paralyzed by one single man. One colossal figure whose presence crushed courage like dust. His name was Goliath, a giant standing more than 3.5 meters tall, wrapped in bronze armor so heavy that most men couldn't lift it even with both hands. His scale, his voice, his weapons, his confidence, everything about him was designed to break spirits. And every morning, and every evening, he stepped forward into the valley of Elah and unleashed the same chilling challenge. "Send me a man to fight!" No man moved, not one. Imagine that moment. The valley stretched wide between two mountain slopes, the armies staring at each other from opposite sides. The Israelites trembling in silence. The Philistines watching with mocking smiles. The Philistines were not just ordinary enemies. They were the technological superpower of the ancient world. They dominated iron while others were still shaping bronze. They conquered cities, enslaved nations, and now their eyes were fixed on Israel. But they didn't need a full-scale war. They had something far more effective. They had Goliath. And Goliath's strategy was psychological warfare in its purest and most devastating form. He didn't just want to win. He wanted to crush the hope of an entire nation, to prove that their faith was meaningless, that their God could not protect them. He wanted the valley to echo humiliation. And here's the part that many people overlook. You might think you have nothing in common with those soldiers shaking in their tents. But ask yourself this: what is your Goliath? What giant stands in your valley screaming challenges every morning when you open your eyes, and every night before you fall asleep? Maybe it's a medical diagnosis that shocked your world. Maybe it's debt that keeps growing no matter how hard you work. Maybe it's an addiction that refuses to loosen its grip. Maybe it's a relationship draining your energy, or a dream that feels impossibly far away. Maybe it's that voice in your mind whispering that you are not enough, that you will never be enough, that you should give up. Everyone has a giant. Everyone faces something that feels too big, too intimidating, too powerful to defeat. The Israelite soldiers had every reason to be afraid. Goliath was not just large. He represented everything they lacked: overwhelming strength, unshakable confidence, unbeatable experience. And for 40 days, fear won. Every single day, fear raised its voice and victory disappeared, until something unexpected happened. Until someone arrived who saw the giant from a completely different angle. The twist, the revelation almost no one talks about, is this: the one who stepped forward was not a warrior, not a soldier, not someone trained for combat. He wasn't even supposed to be there. He was a boy, a shepherd. Invisible to men, but deeply known by God. His name was David, and his appearance on that battlefield changed everything. While trained soldiers measured Goliath by height and armor, David measured him by the size of God. While everyone else saw an impossible threat, David saw an opportunity for God to show his power. But David's courage did not begin in the valley. It was forged in the quiet mountains, where he faced battles that no one witnessed and no one applauded. While others saw him as a simple shepherd with an insignificant job, David was learning something priceless. He was learning to trust God in hidden battles. Preparation doesn't always look like preparation. Sometimes it looks like routine. Sometimes it looks like being overlooked. Sometimes it looks like doing faithful work that no one seems to notice. But it was in that hidden place, far from human recognition, that God was shaping a giant slayer. When David was brought before King Saul and volunteered to fight Goliath, Saul could barely believe it. A teenager against a war machine? It sounded like a tragic mistake. But then David revealed what had been happening in the quiet fields, and everything changed. He said, "Your servant has been taking care of his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the lamb from its mouth." Stop for a moment. Let the depth of that revelation sink in. David wasn't describing one rare event. He said, when a lion or a bear came, meaning this happened more than once. This young man had faced predators capable of tearing him apart, and he won. Not because he was reckless, but because he had learned to see God in battles no one else knew about. Then he added, "When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it." Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. And here comes the key sentence, the one that reveals the way David thought. "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." David saw his past victories as fuel for future faith. He knew something that the soldiers had forgotten: God is not intimidated by giants. This story is not only about Goliath. It is about the giants that rise in your life. The giants that mock you, intimidate you, limit you. The giants that challenge your strength, your hope, your faith. And just like David, you have been prepared in silence for battles you didn't even know were coming. The hidden struggles, the lonely nights, the personal challenges that no one saw, all of them shaped you. The valley still echoes. The wind still whispers the question that every soul must eventually face. What giant will you confront? What fear will you refuse to bow to? What battle will you finally claim victory over? Because every giant that rises screams the same lie: you cannot win. But every giant also falls to the same truth: the battle belongs to the Lord. So as this story reaches its final breath, take this with you: the giant in front of you is never greater than the God within you. If this message touched you, strengthened you, or opened your eyes to the giants in your own valley, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs courage today. Leave a comment telling which giant you're facing, and subscribe so you never miss another story that strengthens your faith and ignites your spirit. Your story isn't over, and your victory may inspire someone else's breakthrough.